Hello students. So last class I discussed about parallel port, and in that discussed about the input interface circuit in detail along with this particular diagram, and we have seen the configuration of this input interface circuit. So along with that I have also discussed one more diagram which will illustrate printer to processor connection, and how exactly the communication between the printer and processor will happen through the different data lines or through different channels, right? I hope the concepts are clear. So in today's class I am going to discuss output interface circuit. As I told, parallel port is a combined port, or it is a combination of input interface circuit and the output interface circuit. And in yesterday's class I discussed about input interface circuit. So today let us see the output interface circuit in detail. Afterwards I will illustrate the combined circuit, or the combined interface circuit, which will give the representation of a parallel port, right? Here, as you can see this figure, so this figure shows an implementation of this interface. So it shows the implementation of output interface circuit, right? Here its operation is very much similar to the input interface circuit which was discussed in the previous class. Here the only significant difference between these two circuit is that the handshake control circuit, that is the detailed design of which uh, as we know already, right? So that is what the handshake control. So this is what one difference, as you can see here. So in this input interface circuit, there was no handshake control unit or handshake control circuit, but in this output interface circuit, this is what one of the special parameter or special unit you can say, that is the handshake control circuit or the handshake control unit. So this is what one major difference here between the input interface circuit and the output interface circuit. And rest of the diagram is same, as you can compare this output interface circuit with the input interface circuit. The entire circuit remains same except this handshake control circuit, right? As you can see, there are the lines from D0 to D7. Then there is a slave ready unit, then there is a master ready unit, and this circuit you know already, that is for read status, load status. Then there is a address decoder which will perform the decoding task, and there you can see the address lines. So A represent the address line and D represent the data lines here. And this is what one a difference here between the input and the output interface circuit, that is handshake control. Basically it is meant for performing the handshake task, that is a kind of control task here which will control. This is meant for the control, handshake control, right? Here the input and output interface, as described, they can be combined into a single interface which is shown here. So this is what a combined circuit, or you can say combined IO interface circuit, which is the combination of both the input interface as well as the output interface circuit. So you can see here you can see both the circuits are combined here along with this handshake control also. So in this case, the overall interface is selected by the high order 30 bits of the address. So that is address bits A1 and A0 that select one of the three addressable locations in the interface, namely two data registers and the status registers. Here the status register contains the SYN flag and SOUT flag. So as you can see both the flags here, that is SYN and SOUT flag, that is SYN flag and S out flag. So these are what the status flags we can say. So the status register contains these two flags in the bits 0 and 1, right, respectively. Since such locations in the IO interface, they are oftenly referred to as registers. So normally this type of locations, that is S in and S out. So this type of locations are normally referred as uh, registers, right? So we have used the labels RS1 and RS0, that is register select. So here we are using, as you can see, these two labels. One is RS0 and one is RS1. So these are meant for register select. So these labels are nothing but register select 0 and register select 1. So these two labels are these two register select labels. They will denote the two inputs that will determine the register being selected. So basically these two labels, that is RS0 and RS1, so they indicate which of the register being selected. So the circuit in this figure has the separate input and output data lines for the connection to an IO device. So you can see these two separate data lines, that is input and output data lines for connection to an IO device. And a more flexible parallel port is created if the data lines to IO devices are bidirectional. So I hope this combined IO interface circuit is clear, which is a combined circuit, which is a combination of input interface as well as output interface circuit. Then this figure, so this particular figure, it shows a general purpose parallel interface circuit that can be configured in a variety of ways. Here data lines P7 through P0 can be used for either input or output purposes. So this lines P0 through P7. So these are what the lines, that is the data lines, and these data lines are bidirectional, as you can see. So bidirectional they are. So these data lines can be used for either input or output purpose. And for increased flexibility, the circuit makes it possible for some lines to serve as inputs and some lines to serve as outputs under the program control. Here the data out register is connected to these lines via three-state drivers that are controlled by a data direction register, that is DDR. DDR is a data direction register. So this part, that is DDR, it is data direction register. So here the data out register is connected to the data lines via three-state drivers that are controlled by this DDR, that is data direction register. And the processor can write any 8-bit pattern into this DDR, and for a given bit, if the DDR value is 1, the corresponding data line acts as the output line, otherwise it will act as the input line. It means that for a given input, if this DDR output is 1, in that case the corresponding data line will act as the output line, otherwise it will act as the input lines. For example, consider D0 to D7, these are what the data lines. And for the data lines, if the output of DDR is 1, then these data lines will act as output line, otherwise these data lines will act as input lines. This is how DDR will help in selecting the particular data lines to act as the input lines or the output lines. Then you can see two more lines here, that is C1 and C2. You can see these two lines, C1 and C2, right? So these two lines are provided to control the interaction between the interface circuit and the IO device as it serves. and these lines are also programmable. Here line C2 is bidirectional to provide several different modes of signaling including the handshake process, right? Here not all the internal details are shown in this figure, but we can see uh, how exactly they are corresponding to the previous combined figure, right? Here the ready and accept lines are handshake control lines. As you can see, there are two types of lines. One is ready line and accept line. So these two lines are the handshake control lines on the processor bus side, and hence they would be connected to the master ready and the slave ready, right? Here the input signal, that is my address, it should be connected to the output and address decoder that recognize the address assigned to the interface. And there are three register select lines allowing up to 8 registers in the interface: input and output data, data direction, and control and status register for various modes of registers. It means that there are three register select lines. So these select lines, they will allow up to 8 registers in the interface, and input and output data, then data direction, and control and status registers for various modes of operation. And you can also see an interrupt request line here, that is INTR bar. So this is a interrupt request line. So this interrupt request output is also provided here, and it should be connected to the interrupt request line on the computer bus. Means intern INTR line should be connected to the interrupt request line on the computer bus, and this INTR output is given to this status and control. So the parallel interface circuit that have the features which was illustrated here. So here different features are illustrated in this particular figure. An example of their use in an embedded system. Then instead of having just one port for connecting an IO device, two or more ports may be provided. Means basically this type of parallel interface circuit, it is most commonly used for the embedded systems where to solve the real-time problems. Now let us see how the interface circuit can be changed to work with the bus protocol. So a modified circuit for the interface is shown here. So this is a modified circuit, as you can see, right? Here we have introduced the timing logic block to generate the load data and read status signals. So with respect to this figure, so this figure is nothing but a parallel port interface for the bus with a state diagram for the timing logic. So this particular circuit, it contains a timing logic here, that is a timing logic block. So this block is used to generate the load data and read status signals. The state diagram for this block is illustrated in the later concepts. So initially the machine is in the idle state. Now consider initially the machine is in the idle state. So when the output of address decoder my address, it shows that this interface is being addressed. Then the machine changes the state to response state. So as a result, it asserts a G naught, which in turn asserts either load data or read status. It's depending on the address bit A naught and the status of read write line, right? So here you can see a timing diagram. So a timing diagram for an output operation is shown here. Here the processor sends the data at the same time as the address in a clock cycle 1. The timing logic it sets G0 to 1 at the beginning of clock cycle 2, right? Kindly analyze this timing, that is a timing diagram for the output interface. So I'll repeat. Here the processor sends the data at the same time as the address in a clock cycle 1. Then the timing logic it sets G0 to 1 at the beginning of clock cycle 2. So these are what the clock cycles 1, 2, 3. Is it clear? One is the first clock cycle, this is second clock cycle, and this is third clock cycle. So I'll repeat. Here the processor sends the data at the same time as the address in the clock cycle 1. The timing logic sets G0 to 1 at the beginning of clock cycle 2, and rising edge of the signal loads the output data into register data out. An input operation that reads the status register, it follows a similar timing pattern here, and the timing logic block it moves to the response state directly from the idle state, because the requested data are available in a register and they can be transmitted immediately. So as a result, the transfer in one clock cycle shorter than the other clock cycle. So in a situation where some timing is needed before the data becomes available, so the status machine should enter a wait state first, then it will move to response state only when the data are ready. So to conclude this discussion of the interface circuit, here we should point out that we have used the simplified representation of some signals to help in the readability as well as understanding of the ideas. And in practice, the slave ready signal is likely to be an open range signal and would be called slave ready bar, that is slave ready signal, for the same reason as INTR bar. Here this line must have a pull-up register which is connected to ensure that it is always in the high voltage state or in the negated state, except when it is pulled down by some device. So that is what our conclusion about this interface circuit. So this is in detail about the parallel port. So in the next class, I'm going to discuss the serial port and the related circuits. Thank you.